Kai, welcome. Welcome to eTown.
Thanks for having me.
Right here in your own hometown. We've known about you for a while, so I'm really glad this worked out that we could invite you and have you show up. So you've been a curious person for a long time, it sounds like, and somebody who wanted to make stuff.
Definitely.
Did you teach yourself how to make things through, because you had access to the internet, or did you have a mentor? How did you get started in this whole thing?
You hit that right in the head. So I always started off really interested in engineering, started with little projects, and you just research things on the internet. How do I do X? How do I do Y? And, combine all sorts of those little tiny facts together, and eventually you start to know a little bit about something.
So we were talking about how Liv was a little bit of a nerd in the band OPEP. Would that be an accurate description for you as a young person?
I think a little bit's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the local science fair was sort of first jumping off point for you to develop this particular interest. But that led to this Intel International Science and Technology or Engineering Fair. You won that. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Relatively large.
Yeah.
About 7.5 million students across the country apply to that fair every year. I didn't win the entire thing, but I did win first place in engineering, which it's pretty substantial.
That's pretty substantial. Okay, well, that just gives us a sense of the level of achievement you're striving for and aiming towards and actually having already reached. Again, in the introduction, Helen was talking about how you wanted to do something that had some potential to have an impact. You were moved by current events, and you were noticing that this was an issue where you could probably make a difference. How did you happen upon this particular combination of ingredients that had to do with gun safety and fingerprint recognition?
I started with mass shootings, the Royal Theater shooting specifically. How do we address these mass shootings? And as I was doing research around that issue, I realized that, yes, mass shootings are a huge problem and definitely something that we should be doing everything we can to address. But there's actually a larger problem of accidental gun deaths and misuse of firearms in our society. For example, every 30 minutes in the United States, a child dies or is injured by a firearm. And there's over 21,000 firearm suicides every year. So the concept of what I'm working on, which is basically a smart gun, it's incorporating a fingerprint sensor into firearms, so only the owner or somebody the owner has chosen can use that firearm.
You're thinking that this isn't obviously going to stop a mass shooting, but it is going to save lives, it is going to prevent tragedies, it's going to prevent accidental deaths. We've seen some horrific things about little kids finding access to guns in purses or underneath car seats, and terrible results. Those things couldn't actually happen.
Definitely.
With your technology.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The way it's set up right now is the fingerprint sensor is placed on the grip of the firearm, so that when you naturally pick up the firearm, your middle or ring finger, depending on how big your hand is, basically rests on top of the sensor.
Yeah, and it doesn't interfere with somebody's natural grip or target practice or things like that, for example.
Definitely. One of our big goals with designing this was create a product that's completely seamless. We're trying to prevent accidental gun use and other people from using the firearms, but when the owner needs to use that firearm, they should be able to use it without thinking, oh, I've got to swipe my fingerprint and then push the buttons. It just works.
Yeah. Now, you've gotten some opposition, I understand. So some people who are not thrilled with this innovation. What problems or what challenges do they see?
There's definitely been a lot of pushback from just the gun industry in general. And a lot of it actually makes a lot of sense because the attempts in the past at smart guns have been, I'm just going to say, relatively bad. They've been error-prone and not functioning reliably. And people aren't, gun owners especially, aren't willing to accept, a firearm that's substantially less functional than an existing firearm. And so smart guns in general get a pretty bad rap because of sort of these failed products along the line that have given it that reputation. Yeah. This is just like a car. We're not going to put a self-driving car on the road that runs into pedestrians. This is the exact same thing. We're not going to release a firearm that isn't, there when the owner needs to use it. Yeah. Smart guns are not sort of a cure-all solution to every type of gun violence. There's specific places where they could really help save a lot of lives. And that's what you've mentioned before, which is, accidental gun deaths, children getting hold of firearms, teenage suicides. One
of the things that's also, I think, critical about the work you're doing, looking for a technological solution that is sort of in some ways, politically neutral. This is just about common sense, safety. It also, there's other scenarios when guns are stolen, servicemen who are, policemen who are actually lose control of their weapon. This would be something that would be beneficial to them also if somebody else tries to use their weapon against them.
What we're working on really is a product that not only allows legal, responsible gun owners to continue using their firearms, but helps eliminate a lot of the reasons why people are working to get rid of firearms.
Mm-hmm. You're taking a gap year. I understand you got into a college.
MIT.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And so you're taking a little time to focus on this project and hoping to attract some more interest and some funding. And may I ask how old you are now?
I'm 19 now.
19 now, yeah. So you're off to a good start.
It's coming along.
Yeah, coming along. And again, I think that your message, I suspect, is you just want to stimulate the conversation. You want to let people know this option is there, and if they are interested, they can contact you. How would they get in touch if they want to? Is there a website, or can they just? How do they find out more about what you're working on?
Definitely, you can find me online. It's Kloepfer. That's Kloepfer. There's all sorts of ways to reach me and everything online.
Yeah, it's Kloepfer. And if you want to find out how to reach Kai, you can do that through eTown.org or just Google Kai, and you can get in touch. Meanwhile, congratulations on the progress you made. Good luck on your prototype. Good luck on the progress you're making in this really critical issue at a critical time.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kai. Congratulations. Kai Kloepfer. Hi, this is Nick Forster from eTown. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.